part 3 of our Elul Chizik series here in the Kollel. I feel like I'm going back in time to the late 90s, late 90s, back in the holy city of Kendall, where I was zeichet for a bunch of years to hear Josh's B'Shaz Shabbatoi from Rabbi Herschel Becker, who was the Rav of the young Israel of Kendall. And it's a big schus that we get to have him here. The Elam shouldn't take for granted. Becker Lamaisa has a tremendous schus of having many of the mishpachas here in North Miami Beach, Talmidim and people who live there, the Burgers and Josh Fox and me, and there's I don't want to miss anybody out, but it could be Aaron Blatt and many others, Dr. Bennett, Chaim Gessler, and a lot of people from Kendall, Shmuel Brass, and Baruch Hashem, I was zeicha to mamish get a lot of chizik and growth in those formative years over there back in Kendall, and I have no doubt that the ilm will get a lot of chizik, his oiris and Yerush Shamayim and in Torah from Rabbi Becker. With that, it's a big honor and my kavod to introduce Rabbi Becker. Yerush.
It's a great schus to be here. Throughout the years, whatever we did in the community, the dream was that those who are there will go l'mayla, to go higher and higher. And it was always our objective that no matter what, people should be able to learn something in our kehila and then go weiter. And to go ahead and be here tonight, first of all, to see Rav Singer, what he's done here in the Kollel together with the Rosh Korav Bleasure. And it happens to be Rav Friedman and I were chavrusas together. So I come here and see that, and see all the mishpachas, all the friends, those who were in our kehila, those who lived there, those who visited, and our chaveirim throughout the years. It's tremendous chizik at this time, and Hashem should give great bracha to the Kollel, that it should continue going l'mayla, and be marbitz Torah with bracha. Personal avodah versus national fate. With this, a man asks his wife what she would like for her birthday. And she said, nothing would make me happier than a diamond necklace. And so he gave her nothing. And I can't say that he was particularly happy after that. Sometimes you have a word, you mean something, and it means something else to somebody else. A number of years ago, my wife and I were in California for a chasna. Someone who, Baruch Hashem, the mishpacha, many years ago, became from in our kehila, and then they moved up north. And the son was getting married to a fine young lady from California, and the family had been up north for many years, and the Masada Kedushin came from, it was the Rav who had been with them the last years, and it came to the chasna, and what happened was my wife and the Rebbetzin from up north walked into the area of the chuppah, and the Rebbetzin said, my husband is not going to be happy. My husband is not going to be happy here. They walked into the chuppah area, and men and women were sitting together. And She said, my husband stipulated and said that there has to be separate seating. And my husband's going to see this. I don't know what he's doing. That's what she told my wife. So she went, as the Rebbitzin, that Rebbitzin said, I have to go find my husband, tell him what's going on here. A few minutes later, the Rav, the one Misadi Kedushin, came and spoke to the Rebbitzin and to my wife. He was laughing. He said, you know what happened? What happened was, he said, I went to the one running the affair, Chelsea, and I said, I don't understand. I asked you one thing. I said there has to be separate seating. And Chelsea said, I don't know. I know it was so important to you that I didn't ask the maitre d' to do it. I stood there. And as everybody walked into the room, I said, the guests of the groom to the right, the guests of the groom to the left, separate seating. This is my to show you. People have no idea of what you are saying. They have no idea what world you're in. 2 months ago, I spoke in Cleveland, and Baruch Hashem, I have the opportunity to share with the Olam, to share with many. I've been in Miami close to 40 years, and Baruch Hashem, was able to put together a book reflecting what happened during those years, all different kinds of incidents to learn from, for all of us to learn from. You go, you have experience, you want other people to know. So I spoke in Cleveland, and someone came over to me afterwards, and he took a copy of the book, looked at it. He said he's about Teshuvah for many, many years. And he looked at this book, he said he plans on sharing every week at the Shabbos table something from it. He said, let me tell you something. He grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. I'm not going to say the name of the town because there's more detail to it. He grew up in this town many years ago. The family was, shall we say, traditional, not orthodox, but the nature of the temple that he was with was traditional. And he had moved away many years before, and he had the circumstances. His father was nifter, so he contacted the clergy who was there in this town at that time, because it was not the same who had been there when he grew up. So he called the clergy to talk to him for plans for a levaya. And the clergy said, what's a levaya? You understand what's out there? You understand what's out there in Klal Yisrael with our brothers and sisters? You have to understand where people are coming from to be able to relate to them. And it's interesting that one of the experiences that you have in dealing with individuals who don't have background is that you gain clarity, because you have to be able to explain things. Nothing is for granted. And it puts you in position where you come to a level of understanding that you may not have had before. Some years ago, I was invited to speak in University of Miami, Hillel, and it was in Chodesh Elul. So I figured, wonderful, I'll speak to them about Elul. And actually, I was telling them, this is the month to prepare Elul. Yom Hadin is coming, Day of Judgment is coming, and we know very well different maisim about Elul, for example, Rabbi Sion Lapian, a son of Rabbi Elio Lapian. When he was a child, he went to the market in Kelm, and he heard two people, not Yidden, two people not Jewish, talking, and there was an issue going on with someone wanting to make a purchase. And Rabbi Sion Lapian said, he heard them say, whatever's going on, we know we can trust these Jewish people now because it's Elul. Rav Shalom Shvadron said that he grew up with his mother telling him if there was issue with his behavior. He said, how can you behave like this? It's Elul. The fish in the sea are trembling. So this is the attitude towards Yom Hadin. This is what the attitude of Frierdiker Kedoros had regarding Elul. Not only Eden, but even not Eden knew what was going on during Elul. And of course we know Elul comes, we see Vayasur es ha'oretz. The Targum says, V'alalun es ara. And I always appreciate Vayaturu, tour. In English, the word tour, there's etymology. A lot of words are connected to words that you have in Lashon HaKodesh. Vayaturu, they went to tour. The Alalun, they searched, they went through. A tour is to go search. Elul means to go search. That's the Targum in Vayaturu es ha'oretz. And I explained to them, I noted the words of the Chayei Odom. Chayev kol Adam al kol ponim lahochnes atzmo liyom sheikonis lemishpat lefnei Hashem b'Rosh Hashanah shloshim yom kodem b'teshuvah tefillah v'yitein kol libo rak b'avodas Hashem. The person's obligated to prepare himself for din. And there was Rav Yitzchak Goldfarb, who was the head of Chinuch Hayoshan in Yerushalayim for over 50 years, and stories said about him, he would go to the courthouse and sit there, and he was pacing, and people asked him, what are you doing over here? He said, no, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Finally he said, I'm here. My dinner's coming up, Rosh Hashanah. I want to see the attitude. I want to see how people are feeling, how people are standing here. That's what I want to do before Rosh Hashanah. Yom Hadin. So I spoke there in the Hillel, and the senior staff member who contacted me said, and actually they were very, very nice. They made sure to make everything kosher. They called me, where should I get the food? Everything, we want you to be comfortable, everything we could. And she said, I hear what you're saying, but it makes sense. I never heard of El. I never heard of it. And at one point, I asked people in my shul, I asked them one time, what do people go if they're not from? What do people think when they go to the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah? Why are they going? So I had a number of people answer. One person said, they know a Jewish person is supposed to attend. It's cultural. Some say they attend with frustration. They sit through a long service, something you have to do. Or they heard it's Judgment Day, but don't grasp the concept, nor do they try. Another person said, yeah, it's Judgment Day. By coming to services, the people score points with God and get written in the book of life. So by coming to services, you get brownie points. We know El is Yom Hadin. We know Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin. There was something troubling me, and I want to share it with you and how I understand this. Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin, and we say even in our davening that everyone comes and stands before the Ribono Shel Olam. Every person, every ummah, every nation is judged on Rosh Hashanah. So I was wondering, so Why doesn't anybody tell them? Do you hear anybody telling people? I mean, you're going to be judged, whole nations. And this is what we're telling. This is what we're saying. How does this make sense? Let people know. This is something that was bothering me. How do you go ahead and have din on people? And we know din, so you have to let them. It's important to prepare, but these people don't even know that they're having din. How do you do that? So I saw something from Reb Revda, and I want to take it a step further. Because he says that we see in various Mekaros. One in particular that I'm going to cite, Rabbeinu Bechaya. Where does it say that Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin? Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin. Where does it say it? We know it. Where does it say it? You certainly don't have it in the Torah. In Torah you have Zichron Teruah. You don't have that it's Yom Hadin. Rabbeinu Bechaya says, Lo bir shibhayom hazehu yomin. It doesn't say it, Mefurash. It doesn't say it. And then later on, Umashu yom hadin nirmaz b'milas zikaron. In the word zikaron, there's a remes yom hadin. Ki losh nofel al hadin. He brings rayas that would indicate din. Does the Torah say yom hadin? No. What? It's the day of din, so important. Why doesn't the Torah say it? And then later on he says, Anything which is more pnimi, which is more inside, is more hidden. And the Reb Revda notes that, you know why the Ummos Olam, why they're not aware of Yom Hadin? Because Yom Hadin comes al pi Kabbalah, al pi Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's not written in the Torah, and therefore, lo masra, therefore it wasn't given that information to them, because it's Torah Sheba'al Peh. The oral law, that's not something given to the Ummos Olam, even though they're being judged. And I would like to actually take this a step further, because you have to understand, you're going to say Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin. When you talk to people about Yom Hadin, even if they know about Rosh Hashanah, everybody knows there are 3 books that are open. There's a Sefer Chaim for Tzadikim, Sefer of the Rishoyim, and then there's a Bein and Tzluyim. So 3 books are open. So you go ahead and you learn this in preschool. And you have, how many different pictures do you paint like that? And with the scale, with the books. 3 books. How is someone supposed to understand that? What does that mean? There's Sefer Chaim. So obviously, if you're going to speak to somebody who you want to explain what's going on here with Yom Hadin. Well, there are 3 books. Yeah, we know the 3 books are there. Does that mean that if someone is nifter during the year, he's a Rasha? Does that mean that if the person lives the next year and everything is fine with him, he's a tzaddik? How do you go ahead and understand the basic of Yom Hadin? And with that, there are a number of approaches. I'll just mention 2 very quickly. The Ramban and the Ran say Sefer Tzadikim does not mean that the person is a tzaddik. It does not mean that if a person lives that year, he's a tzaddik. It means what? Tzaddik b'din. The person is getting a din of a tzaddik. He is getting in the Sefer of Tzadikim. Why? Because with Hashem's cheshbonos, with Hashem's considerations, he's getting something which will go towards his whole picture, his whole life, and what's going to be with him in this world, what's going to be with him in the next world. So he is going to get maybe something here that will be denied that in the next world. All these cheshbonos. But it means tzaddik, what? Bedin. It does not mean that the fact that someone lives that year, he's a tzaddik. No, tzaddik, he had din of a tzaddik. Tosfos has another pshat. Tosfos has a different pshat. Tosfos says that the din on Rosh Hashanah of the 3 Sfarim are for Olam Haba. They're not even for this world. What's going to be with the person? What's chayla can you have in Olam Haba? So then you have the kasha, so what do I have to judge every year? I mean, wait till the din comes from Olam Haba. No. Every year you have to go ahead and make a cheshbon. You have to make a consideration of how this year is going to work out towards this person's place in Olam Haba. Once you understand that, you can understand very well. You can't go ahead and tell the Umos HaOlam that it's Yom Adin. Because what they're going to say, oh, the Jewish people, there was an attack against them this year. Oh, so we know, look what happened to them. Or, this person, everything went well. Oh, it's a tzaddik. You're going to go ahead and explain Olam Haba. Kol Yisrael Yeshem Chelek Mahaba. You're going to go ahead and explain to them? Din has to be in there, but you can't go ahead and publicize this to them and tell them that this is what it is, because they would go ahead. For example, one of the reasons Yonah didn't go ahead, Yonah had Nevuah before he was told to go to Nineveh. One of the Nevuahs that he had was that the Klal Yisrael should go ahead and do Teshuvah, or else Yerushalayim would be Charav. He went ahead and said that, and the people listened. And as a result, there were some people who said, oh, look, he said it's going to happen. It didn't happen. They didn't connect it to the fact that they did Teshuvah. You can't go ahead and say just, oh, this is judgment, the day of judgment, because it's so deep, and you need Amunah B'Hashem to go ahead and grasp what that is. In Gemara Shoshana it says that when it comes to din, but those from Bavel said that the Klal Yisrael comes to din kivnei runa, like sheep, and they come out like lambs, and they're counted just like by lambs when you count for meiser one at a time. They're counted for din. Rish Lakish says kemailos beimor. Rish Lakish says you compare that to those on Bnei Maron, an elevated area. They're going the elevated path of Maron where the groups have to go in single file, so everyone comes out separate. Rav Yehuda, B'Shem Shmuel, said, it's Kechayolos based of it. They go single file, like they're going out to war. And the Ben Yoyada says that what do you need these 3 ideas for? What does it mean? Sheep, or the cliff, or the chayolos based of it. So he says, one pshat is like sheep, because sheep, you can't go ahead and take them to task for the errors. They're sheep. So Hashem looks like, so they make errors. What can you do? You look at them with such rachmim. And the pshat that it's nemoron, like by the side of a cliff, he says, you have to understand, the Eibusha looks at Klal Yisrael and says people are on edge. They have issues, so therefore he deals with them with rachamim. And the other pshat, kechayolos based of it, that they look and see what kechayolos, they're from the army of David HaMelech. And with that he gives 2 pshatim. He has a number of pshatim. One of them is with that they have zchus avos, the merit of avos, of coming from the previous Doros and Kedoshim, as David HaMelech. And the other is that they're Machnei Elokim. They're the army of Hashem. That's what it is. And something very important. Throughout the years, people say, Klal Yisrael, everything's, people are obsessed with Klal Yisrael. People, it's all they talk about. It's all you see in the news, Klal Yisrael. And I pointed out a number of times. Did you ever see, maybe not lately, did you ever see where William and Kate go somewhere? Every step they go, if someone's looking, someone take a shot, some of that. Why? Because royalty. Klal Yisrael is royalty. And it's important to know that every person in Klal Yisrael is royalty. And as Rav Shlomo Karliner says, the biggest Yetzer Hara that there is for someone to forget He's Ben Melech, he's royalty, Klal Yisrael. But every single person in Klal Yisrael is royalty. And the Gemara in Bava Basra brings an incident where they asked the Chachamim that why it is that there are people who have needs. And in the Gemara, he says that a Melech threw away his son. He sent him away, and the son had nothing. And then someone went ahead and helped the son and gave him something. And the king gave him a gift and thanked him. The king gave him a gift. What do you mean? He threw him away because he's my kid, he's my son. Avinu Malkeinu, this is what it is. This is my son. I care about my son. And you care about my son. Then I care for you and I give you a gift for that. It's interesting, the Gemara says that the skira achas, Hashem gives a din, beskira achas, looks in one glance at everybody. So everybody's in, they're judged. How? What's skira achas? So Pashat, I had understood. Or skira achas, like, okay, there's two judgments. There's me, and then part of everybody else. Because after all the three things that the Gemara brings have to do with groups and individuals. So there's a din of me, and there's a din of the klal. So whatever's going to happen to the klal, that's a din. And whatever's going to happen to me, that's my issue. But it's part of my din as well, whatever happens to the klal. But actually, the Alter from Kelm says something more than that. He says like this, Yeshnei mishpotim, kol yochid bifnei atzmo, vod kulam niskar beskir achas, perish mishpat haklal, im lo kikil haram im tikein. The two dinim. There's the klal and there's an individual. There's you, and what did you do for the klal? How did you affect the klal? How did you affect other people? That's beskira achas. That's what the din is. And why is it that I'm affected by someone else's din? The Aruch HaShulchan says, how can you make a bracha for somebody else? How do you make a bracha for somebody else? He says that dafka beberchas mitzvahs, only by bracha of a mitzvah can you make a bracha for somebody else. Why? Everyone is responsible one for the other. This person did not do a mitzvah, it's like you didn't do it. There's Aruch HaShulchan. If it's a chesaron in one person, it's a chesaron in you. And with that, you have to realize that it's not even simply a matter of understanding where people are coming from. When we have, recently somebody asked me, why Klal Yisrael has so many tzaras? And I told him, do you understand? Look at you see a group of people who are devoted, involved in Torah mitzvahs, but the most of the people of the Klal Yisrael, do you know what the most does? The most, unfortunately, is not yet connected, attuned to Torah mitzvahs. And, as we see from the Aruch HaShulchan and from the Alter Kelm, their din is our din. I'll wrap up very quickly. There's something from Rav Hutner that I want to share with you, which is a letter that Rav Hutner wrote to somebody. Apparently, this individual had written a letter to Rav Hutner and was very upset. Rav Hutner told him to care for other people. And the person said, you know, you wrote me if I forgot the posuk Hashomer Ochi Enochi. And Rav Hutner wrote back, Lo olal da'asad me'olam. It never entered anyone's mind to go ahead and tell you this obligation to watch out for your brother. But certainly the elementary obligation is to go ahead and help somebody else. Then you write, can I change the matzav? Can I change? That's what you wrote to Rav Hutner. Can I change this? And Rav Hutner said, Ein demos beinecha? There are no tears in your eyes? What does that mean? Can I have another 5 minutes? Okay. And whoever has to go, please. But there's something very, very important. There's a Gemara in Brachos that is relevant to davening every day. The Gemara brings Hani ben Yunei. There was hooligans in the neighborhood of Rameir who were giving him difficulty, and he wanted to go ahead and do away with them and have them killed, that they should die. He wanted they should die as a chus for them, so that they shouldn't continue doing averos. And his wife said famously, "Yitama chaton, not chotim," and with that, davened for them, and they did Teshuvah. Marsha says this is a very difficult Gemara. Very difficult Gemara. Why? Because it says, Hakol b'dei Shemayim chutz mir Shemayim. Everything is in the hands of Hashem except for fear Hashem. And I can't have fear of Hashem for you. Every person, if he has fear of Hashem, fine. But how can you go ahead and daven if this person should do Teshuvah? So, basically, he has the kasha, the challenge that he presents to us. On every day, we ask, Hachzireinu b'teshuvah shalem ofnecha. Hashem, please bring us to Teshuvah. Not me, all of us, to Teshuvah. How? How do you go ahead and ask some, what do you mean? Hashem bring back to Teshuvah, not doing Teshuvah. Hakol b'dei Shemayim chutz mir Shemayim. That's the Marsha's kasha. The Marsha answers, Efsher, and Rav Moshe Feinstein has issue with Marsha's teretz. He says, maybe, since you're davening and you include yourself in it, it can go ahead and include for other people too. That's Marsha. It happens to be, the Chazon Ish and Marsha have different answers for this. The Chazon Ish says in the piece that Klal Yisrael is all one. Therefore, you're davening for somebody else is you're davening for yourself. It's connected in that way, the Chazon Ish. Rav Moshe Feinstein has a different pshat. Rav Moshe Feinstein says like this. When you daven for somebody else, Hatzarin b'shuvah shalem avnech, gives two pshatim. He says two, and he likes the second one better. The first pshat is like this. What holds people back from Yiras Shamayim? They could be going through difficulties. They could be going through this Nisayan, that difficult. So daven that they be relieved from that Nisayan. That you can daven. But you're not asking that they should have Yiras Shamayim. You're just giving Teshuvah that they be relieved for that. The other pshat is, Tzarech Lomar, Gam Shayach L'Spalel Sha'Hashem Yisbarach Yazma Lehen Sheyishmu Divrei Musa Me'anoshin Tzadikim V'Yashuvu Al Sabet Teshuvah V'Zeh Yosu Nochem. Daven for them. That what? That they'll meet somebody and that they'll hear a word of Torah, that someone will bring to a kollel to learn. Daven. That's what Rav Moshe Feinstein says. Zeh Yosu Nochem. Said this is pshat in Gemara. So every day, when you say Hachzirein b'shuvah shalem ofnech, you say, yes, Hashem, bring teshuvah for everybody. Well, what is Hashem going to do? Says that you can't do that. Everyone's responsible for their own teshuvah. No, Hashem, please bring the circumstances that they can go ahead and possibly hear some words of Torah that will bring them closer to Ribbon Shalom. A number of years ago, I spoke. It was on a Yom Tov, and I spoke about Minhagim and how important it is to keep Minhagim of the past. I'm not going to go into detail of it. minhagim of the past important. And someone told me that he leaned over to his son at the time. He was not from at the time, nor was his son. He said, you know what? I have to start doing like the old ways. I have to start doing that. I have to start doing it. He became Shem Mitzvahs. His son became Shem Mitzvahs. And the sad thing is, he's someone who knew, at least to say in the old way, that we should do it like that. People today have no idea what that is. But that's, as it says, v'ahavta es Hashem l'kech v'ahavta, what we say in Shema, shehei Shem Shemaim Yishai v'al yodcha, that Hashem's name, you love somebody, you want to make sure other people care for them too. That's v'ahavta. This is the Gemara. Shehei Shem Shemaim Yishai v'al yodcha, that other people will come to Avas Hashem. And therefore there's no coincidence that you find in Yeshaya, Avraham Ohavi. Hashem said, Avraham Ohavi. Avraham loved me. He brought other people to Torah of mitzvahs. In conclusion, I have been blessed, Baruch Hashem, to be in a place that I can be together with Klal Yisrael. I remember years ago, someone asked me, why aren't there more people like you coming out here? I could have explained to many reasons why. But Baruch Hashem. And Hashem gave me also this list, my Rebbetzin, to be there. And my Rebbetzin grew up in Borough Park. And after we got married and moved to Queens, she said, I really feel like I moved out of town. But together, we've been there over the years. And Baruch Hashem, I've been able to put out a book with not only incidents it had, but the resources, the Ma'amad Koimus, the Hachzirein B'Teshuvah Shleim L'Fanech. I have that in a section of resources. And I want to conclude with this, that it says in Avos Reb Nosson, Aaron Mahalach B'derech, Aaron the Kohen was going along the way, and he met a Rasha, an evil person, V'Nosson Lo Shalom. He gave him Shalom. He gave him Shalom. L'macha bikei shosi shlav avera. The next day, this person wanted to do an avera. What did he say? Ama oili. Heich eseinai achar kaveres Aaron bushas imenu. Aaron gave me Shalom. I can't go ahead and do this avera. Wow. We're not Aaron. And it's not that everything that we do, people will say, But there are many opportunities that we have that we could be that individual like Aaron, who just because he had a kesher with this person, the person said, I don't want to go ahead and do an avera because Aaron gave me Shalom. That's what he gave me. And that made the whole difference with these Rishonim. And this is the conclusion from Oyecheskel. He states, at this point, Nochotzu, it's important, Sha'avodosenu, our Avodah before Rosh Hashanah should be Na'avod, that we should serve Hashem, L'man Hashem Yisbarach, not for Cheshbainas, L'man Hashem. And let's try to help each one the other. All for that same reason objective. And the Yosef Yom Rosh Hashanah Atzmo Chayeves Liosavas Rabbeinu Ulahargish what? To feel Kulam Lanu Ovdim L'Davar Echad. We are all working together for the same thing. The chol echad, every person, mamale chesrono shel chavero, is there to fill that which the void which the other has. We are there for you. We are there for each other. May Hashem give us the bracha. With all the difficulties Klal Yisrael is going through, we are at the bonim of the Rebbeinu Shalom. We have to remember that and to watch out, each and every one of us, for others. There are so many people who their lack of connection is because they have no connection. They don't even know what it is. And the Eibusha should give us the ability to be Avram Oavi, the Oave Hashem, to go ahead and work together. As Rav Cheskel Levenstein says, we're all on the same team. May Hashem give us the bracha to work together to bring Klal Yisrael higher and higher. May Hashem bring us to the ability to all Klal Yisrael with Teshuvah. It should be a year of bracha and hatzlocha. What? Yeah. Oh, you remember from the album? I couldn't.
Right.